Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium, and I'm going to be answering your questions today. When I say what I really mean is my posse of political spirit guides headed by the famous Edward R. Murrow, who is still with me, still guiding me, going to be guiding me through these troubled waters, these troubled political waters. He says, forget political, just troubled. We're going to open the gates wide to include all kinds of troubles. And this also means other countries. He's specifically talking about Great Britain right now. But they're there to help me answer your questions. If you're new here, thank you for joining me. I've got quite a new subscribers. It's pretty amazing. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope this information is helpful for you. I am channeling this information. I'm about, 40% Susan, 60% spirit guides. The spirit guides talk to me in all manner of ways. They show me pictures. I hear words. I get feelings. I have knowings. So that's basically your psychic clairs, which are your psychic senses. I basically am getting information from all of these different channels all at once. And then Susan tries to make sense of it and put it into words, which sometimes I really fail at doing. But I know you guys are really patient with me, and I appreciate that. We're going to start off with a very interesting question. And it's interesting not only because the question is interesting, but when I transferred the questions to a Word doc so that I could do these questions for you, the picture that I saw was interesting. Now, I don't prearrange these questions. I don't prearrange the answers. It makes it a little messy sometimes because the guides are talking to me. My spirit guides are talking to me as I'm doing this. So it is what it is. But in this case, I just glanced at this question and I saw pictures immediately. The question is from Nancy the Water Chick. And she says, all the oligarchs, we know we're talking about Russian oligarchs, who have been tossed out of windows, ending their lives prematurely, are they on the other side mad at Putin? Will their wrath be felt? So, what was really interesting is when I'm transferring these questions over, I don't typically get an immediate connection to your question. But in this particular question, I did, Nancy. And I saw one or two oligarchs, men, and they're mad. And they're mad, but they're not mad for the reason that you or I would think they would be mad about. In my opinion, I would be mad at Putin for murdering me, if that's indeed what happened. But in this case, these guys are mad because they didn't get to fulfill their soul's path. Now, in one of their cases, their soul path was to become a grandfather, was not to become one, but to be one, to be present with this grandchild and to be present in a way that was going to affect this child in some way, right? In a good way. So regardless of what you can say about this man, he might not have been a nice man. I don't know. He may not have been an honest man. I don't know. But I do know that he was supposed to stay here, and his soul path was not completed. He got tossed out of his life early. Now, sometimes when we get tossed out of our life early, we have a near-death experience. But let me tell you, when Putin tosses you out of your life, you're not going to get another chance. He does a pretty thorough job, meaning that, let me clarify that, meaning that if this guy would have come back, right, if he would have had a near-death experience, he just would have been offed again. And this man, his spirit guides and his angels knew this. They knew it was futile, that there was no way around this. There was no way around this energy. He would have been hunted down. He would have been eliminated. And furthermore, had he come back, had he had a near-death experience and been given another chance at life and come back, he likely would have really changed his attitude towards whatever behaviors he was, exhibiting or inhabiting here on earth. And he might have tried to choose one of more peace and more generosity. And he might have gone and said, look, I want out, right? I don't want to be a part of this. I just want to be a granddad. That's not available. That option was not available on the menu. We're clear out of those options for you. This man wants you gone. You're going to be gone by hook or crook. So this guy's really mad because, he can now, with the extra abilities of having crossed over, he can see clearly his soul path, and he can see that he didn't finish it. And this is a guy who really sets goals. I mean, you might say that these oligarchs are successful people, if not maybe as a human per se, but certainly as a businessman. And he lived his life by setting goals. He was basically physically fit. He lived his life by goals. He got up, he ran, he did his exercises. It made him mad that he didn't get to finish this goal for his grandchild. Okay. So I thought that was really interesting. He was mad at Putin for a whole different reason than you may think that he would be mad about. Now, I don't know why they're asking me to say this. Someone might be asking this little screen or big screen that you're watching me on, well, does he regret? Does he regret his life? And so now he's there, he's having his life review, and he gets open the envelope. Your soul path was option B, and you failed. Does he regret what he did? Does he regret the life he led? He doesn't. This guy is very powerful. He felt like he gave his family everything. No, the bottom line is no, he doesn't regret anything. And I'm telling you, this guy was a hardliner. This guy could have allegedly participated in people also crossing over. Okay. But it's interesting. He doesn't regret his life at all. So I just think that's fascinating. So I wanted to for sure answer your question, Nancy. Thank you for that. Surprised me, which is hard to do sometimes. Okay. Deborah Bethel wants to know, will DeJoy, who is the U.S. Postmaster, DeJoy, listen, all of us psychics have been predicting DeJoy have already been gone, and he's still there. He's much like Mitch McConnell. He does not follow the energy. If the energy suggests that you would rather get out of this painful situation, most people would, 90%, maybe 95, 98% of people would say, no, I'm not staying here. This is terrible. There's a few of them, like DeJoy and McConnell, that just stay in there. They just have a real penchant for wanting to outlast their adversary, regardless of how much pain they may have to endure to do so. Now, the question is, will DeJoy be replaced by our USPS? And the answer is yes. I mean, yes, he will be replaced. Will he be replaced in 23? We need to ask a very specific timeline. And will he be replaced in 23? Quite possibly. The problem is that our political landscape is literally going to be going through a paper shredder. And that's not bad because we do need to go through and identify these politicians that are on the take and on the make and get rid of them. So what I'm saying to you is that we need a solid group of people on the board to vote him out. And right now we don't have it. We just don't have it. And I don't know that is Biden going to get another opportunity to appoint another board member to the USPS? Yes, but it's not enough. They're telling me it's not enough. We still need, I think we need more than one votes. We don't have enough votes to get him off of the board. Some of the people that are on there are pro DeJoy. So 24, for sure by 24, potentially 23. I wish I could give you better news. I really do. But I will say that overall, your next question was, will the USPS be rehabilitated? Overall, yes. You're looking at a complete overhaul of the USPS, all the way down to the vehicles they drive, the benefits they receive as employees. And the guides have said this before, and this energy is really strong. So I think it must be picking up steam. And that is, we may, in the United States, change the way we receive mail, because we cannot fund mail carriers the way we've been funding them. And now what they're doing is contracting mail carriers, right? The contract carriers don't even get a lot of benefits like a regular mail carrier would. So what I've seen is a lot of communities going to these centralized mail pickup places. So we may come into a place in the next 3 years, and this is going to start this year, but it won't come to fruition for a few more years, where say 40 to 50% of residential places, residential houses, whatnot, will then switch over to a centralized place to pick up their mail, much like new residential neighborhoods have. You go to a centralized place to pick up your mail. Okay. That's actually going to help. What that's going to do, you guys, is yes, you're going to have to drive somewhere to pick up your mail. But honestly, what mail are we getting? Honestly, number two, by doing that, we're going to be able to really pay these people what they're worth and give them the benefits that they deserve, because the force is going to be smaller. We can let go of the contractors and keep those full-time benefits union postal workers. Okay. I don't know. Hopefully that made sense to you. Thank you for your question. I appreciate it. Jasmine LP says, do we see the guides see the people responsible for attacking the electric substations in the U.S. getting caught? Well, yeah, they're already being caught. They're already being caught. Your next question is, will effective steps be taken to protect our electrical grids? I live in Washington State. My city had 4 attacks Christmas week. I see the FBI. I see the FBI involved in this. What's happening right now, and this isn't tipping anybody off, to be honest with you. If these people are watching my show, then hats off to them. The FBI is doing some deeper research. Maybe I'll leave it at that. But let's just say that the FBI is aware of the situation, and that, unfortunately, the thing that irritates me is the electric companies are not willing to put the extra money in to protect the substations, because it's a utility and they feel like the state should pay for it, and the state feels like the utility should pay for it. So everybody's pointing a finger at everybody else. Meanwhile, while all this shenanigans, which is nothing getting done, the FBI is doing some really deep work. But to do that deep work, it takes a long time, like months, like 6 months. Okay. Now, in the meantime, I do think that your area in Washington State, and this is also apparently happening in Idaho, Iowa, some I state, but also in the West. It's a lot happening in the West. Biden can apparently, by some kind of special order, give the state some extra money for some surveillance. So yeah, things are working, Jasmine. I know it doesn't feel like it is, but things really are working. And the FBI really, really wants to go deep and get the nest. It's like when you're killing something, you don't want to get the little bugs that are out and about. You want to go down and get the nest. And the FBI is really focusing on that. So I think overall, it may seem like nothing is being done, but there's actually a lot getting done. Okay. And Carol Bastian says, she's concerned about the homeless people, many of whom are mentally ill, and the immigrants at the south border. I want to know if the Dems will have the will to get laws in place and funding to support a better system for those distressed people. Also, what about the DACA folks? So right now, yes, Biden has made it his, it feels like, and he's been talking about this energetically for months. It feels like Jill Biden, this is one of her, one of the things that she wants to get done while she's first lady. She really, really wants to impact mental health in the United States. So you're going to see, they're giving me chills over this. You're going to see Biden and Jill Biden work with pharmaceutical companies to get medicine, to get free or reduced medicine to some of these cities that have really big homeless populations, meaning antipsychotic or whatever medications might be needed, number one. And number two, I do see Biden right now seems to be working with some landowners. So I guess what the guides are saying, and this is an age-old problem, obviously, that nobody wants to live next to a homeless community, right? I mean, not in my backyard, right? So there's been some problems, apparently, they're talking about in some of these cities where the city could find a place to put people, but nobody wants them to live next to them. So Biden is going outside of the city, like literally far outside of the city. But then you run into suburbs. So what he's trying to do is found county land that is that doesn't have any easements or any kind of things like that. He's going to build a facility, and he's going to, and apparently there's going to be one facility that he does that's going to be like a showcase kind of thing. Because what's interesting is you can't, because in my community we have homeless as well, and you don't really want to take the homeless away from medical resources. I mean, that doesn't help. So if we create a homeless community in the middle of nowhere, that's not really going to be very effective solution. So what's interesting is they're showing me these facilities, as they're calling them, will actually have a clinic inside of it that will, this is what I think is brilliant, that will be staffed by medical students and residents from a local medical college university. So these residents and medical students are always, and I know I have one in my community, right, where the medical students staff a clinic that's for no income, low income, or homeless, and basically anybody can go in there, right? And you might say, well, medical students is substandard care, but they are under supervision of a resident or a doctor, okay? But I think this is really interesting, because not only will there be a clinic in there, now this is going to benefit the medical students who need to get these hours and need to see. So another thing they're telling me, and this is an unfortunate byproduct, but it is the truth, is that you see things in homeless populations that you wouldn't see otherwise. Okay, so what does that mean? You see, I mean, this is very sad, but it's helpful for medical students. You see people that have end-stage health problems that don't have that never get to this point in a community, in a city, in a suburbia, okay? Because they end up getting some kind of interventional medical care. So in the homeless community, you see things that are unusual. And that's very helpful for medical students to get training. So it's a sad situation, but it's, in this case, I feel like it's a win-win, because the other win-win about this is they'll put these facilities or these centers in these county areas, which are rural, and these clinics will also act as clinics for the rural people that live there, which, if you live in a rural area, you understand that there are no hospitals, there are hardly any doctors. So this is actually going to be a win-win. We're going to put these homeless people in this facility that's going to be pretty rural, but you're going to also benefit from this clinic. I just think that's brilliant. That all literally just came to me right now of a piece. And that is what Biden is working on right now with his Secretary of Health or something like that. Anyway, that's brilliant. Your other question is about DACA, which the Dreamers. I know I have international viewers. You might have to just look up what DACA is. It's for kids that came illegally to the United States through no fault of their own. Their parents brought them over when they were children. They've gone to school here. Sometimes they've even gone to university here. And this is the only country they've ever known. This is their country. They just don't have the legal requirements. DACA, I don't know, guys. This congressional season is basically just a toss-up. We're not going to have the votes to get much done. So we may be able to protect them through some special order through Biden, but I don't think so. But I definitely think if they can hold on to 24, yes, they're going to be fine in 24. 23 is just a toss-up, guys. We're going to have a 49-50 or a 50-50 split. We're going to have a kind of split house. Even if we gain a few seats, if the Democrats gain a few seats, we're still not going to have a majority. And we're still going to have just, Fruit Loop people in there and the Republicans doing crazy things. Okay, thank you for your question. J.A. Bulbot says several astrologers have predicted dire events for the U.S. in 2023 going forward. Has the energy changed enough to negate those bad things, or does how we experience the next few years depend on whether the person's in the third or fifth dimension? Now, this question could be equally applicable to anyone in the world. The answer is yes. How you experience everything has everything to do with your vibration. Everything. If you're filling your vibration, meaning, you're consuming media that's negative, that's scary, then that's what you're going to get, because that's what you're vibrating at. And the universe attracts like to like to like. So if you're vibrating terrified, scared, worried, freaking out, you're going to have more of that. Sorry to say. If you are just saying your daily prayer for the most benevolent outcome or whatever it is, and you're spending your 5 minutes in meditation, and then you're going around and filling your vibrational energy with happiness or frivolity or joy or passion or love or humor, you're just not going to be a match for the scary, crazy events. And that even goes down to you saying, you know what, I'm not going to work today. I really need to get this other thing done. I'm going to call in and take a mental health day. And then you find out that something went down at work that was, something that you would not have wanted to experience. Maybe there was a big fight, or maybe there was even a physical fight, or maybe there was a protest, or maybe there was some sort of fire or something, right? And you, without really knowing it consciously, you were not a vibrational match for that. And you just chose something different. So these things, once you get this really, when your vibration, when you're steeping your vibration, it's just full of love and good and happiness, you're going to find a lot more of that in your life. So that is absolutely true. If you're, and that's the fifth dimension. That's the difference between the third dimension and the fifth dimension. That's the difference between the old world and the new world, between the ascension. That's all it is. That is all it is. You can create paradise on this earth if you choose that. if you choose to stop looking at the politics and you choose to stop looking at the violence, right? Now, you might say, well, am I abdicating my citizenship, right? Like I should fight for those people that don't have enough. Hey, that's up to you. That is completely up to you. I would just say that if you're spending your time and you have faith that everything is going to be okay, and you pray, you meditate, you send out love, and you ask for intervention. May the suffering stop. May the war stop. May the peace prevail in the land. So it is. I am blessed. Let everyone else be blessed as well. You're helping those situations. You're not abdicating anything. You're not putting your head under the rug. You're actively sending out love and peace and beautiful light. And that does have an effect. Okay. So the terrible things that are going to happen that they're saying are going to happen are kind of going to happen. Now, how they manifest is a different story. But when I say terrible things, what I mean is that the United States and Britain and Canada and Australia and China and Russia and Ukraine and Iran, a lot of countries are going through this period of ascension. So what is happening is people are saying, I'm not going to be controlled like this anymore. I'm not going to have my politicians lie to me. Whatever it is, people are going to say that. And they're going to get in the streets and start protesting. Now, that's not fifth dimension, but that's okay. It's up to you. Change happens in a lot of different ways. You can affect change by being physical and being physically present in a protest. On the other hand, you may sit at home and affect change energetically. But yes, these things are likely to happen in the United States. Yes, something as big is happening in March. I don't know exactly what that is, but I do think that it has something to do with, it's going to affect almost every country. I mean, you have the Ides of March, right? That seems to be, there seems to be some, and that is also astrological. There's a big astrological shift change happening in March, but there's also an energetic shift change that's happening in March, which I and a lot of other people are picking up on too. And I really think that is a cosmic leveling, if you will. So you're going to see people finally be arrested or ousted, or you're just going to see the power quotient change. And when we have a big power quotient change like that, well, it's destabilizing. It can be very destabilizing. So these things can happen. So while that's happening, what you might do is say, oh my gosh, my country's undergoing quite a bit of change right now. I'm going to meditate and allow myself to be a vessel for beautiful light and love to add to those people that are doing the hard work or doing the physical work or whatever it is. I'm going to lift everyone up. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. When I'm channeling, I have no idea what I just said. Thank you though. I appreciate it. Esther, honey, I couldn't pronounce your last name. There's a whole bunch of consonants in here, like more than normal. SVEINBJARNARDO accent TTIR. Hi, good to meet you. Happy New Year. Yes, Happy New Year. She's an Icelandic medium. How cool is that? You guys, we got an Icelandic medium here. All right. She would like to see the guide's vision on peace in Europe and what we can do as individual to help people through our spiritual connection here up north. If it is my path to walk or help support people from my channeling. Yes, from Iceland. Yes, dear. exactly what they just talked about, right? Spend time lifting the world's energy up. And specifically, the spirit guides are saying allay fear. So as you're meditating or spending this time, this quiet time, sending out your vibrations, they're saying send out the vibration of calm, because we just talked about that, right? This real upheaval of destabilizing energy. It's going to make people really fearful. And when you're fearful, you're not really taking the right actions. A lot of time, if you have that fight or flight instinct, you may run, not realizing what direction you're running. So when we act out of fear, it's not usually in our best interest. So we all want to be able to take some steps back and say, okay, does this directly affect me? No, I don't live in Ukraine. Okay, wow, I'm going to pray for them then. Absolutely pray for them, lift them up, send them, be a conduit, allow God energy, light energy to come into you, and then blast it to those that need it. Absolutely. That's how you can be of help. And your question was to what it is your path to walk or help to support people you're channeling. Yes, I think it is, dear. I think you are going to find your way. They're talking about between now and June. Not now. The information that you need to know is not really available now. It's dark, and it probably is dark where you are anyway. Like maybe it's dark all the time. I don't know. But it's also informationally dark. So it's not time. You're still in gestation. You're like in the egg. And the egg opens up with the sun. So May, it begins, May, June, July, bam, you're going to have some really big epiphanies and big energetic knowings. Just right now, pamper yourself, keep your spirit strong, and take good care of yourself. But everything else is in hand. Thank you for your question. Thank you for visiting us from Iceland. Okay, so Susan Holland says, do the guides see any political upheaval occurring in Texas this year, 23? Okay. Will we finally get rid of Governor Abbott, Secretary or Attorney General Paxton and Patrick due to their nefarious dealings? You guys, honestly, in Texas, Paxton is our Attorney General. He's the highest attorney in the state. He has 5 federal indictments against him. And he's had them for years, but he's been Mickey Mousing through the courts, delaying, and he won his race again. It's the kind of thing that makes you lose hope, to be honest with you. But I will say this, there is energy, and the guides said this last year, there is energy for Abbott to be removed. He's pushed aside. So I do think that these people are going to start paying a price for their alleged nefarious dealings. Yes, I do see a shakeup in the Texas leadership. It actually goes down into our state Congress as well. So yeah, it's hold on, girlfriend. You're going to see some pretty big surprises. And these people cannot, like some of these leaders find a way to stay in office, like Paxton, right? These people can't do that. They're not going to be there. There's no more chances left for them to stay in office. Okay, so that's really good news. I'm happy to hear that. Amy Sika says, will the energy crisis in the UK be as bad this winter as it sounds like it's supposed to? Amy, you seem like a really nice person. I'm really sorry to tell you this. It's going to be pretty bad. It's going to be bad. I don't know why the queen is here, but she is. your queen is like here in my office. And she's, I think it's fair to say she's mad. um, it, she has a very stern quality when she gets mad. It's not like she goes like, she's not big in her movements. It's like a simmering mad that goes around her mouth. Her mouth, you can see it in her mouth. She's mad. So she's thinks that things have been wildly mismanaged. I don't know if you're a fan of the queen or not, but she's here giving her opinion. It's going to be bad. I'm sorry. It's going to be bad. I mean, the queen is showing me World War II bad, like rationing. Oy vey. That's going to be, well, it's bitter medicine. It's bitter medicine. And it's going to probably do that Conservative Party in for a minute. They are not, this would be hard to manage, okay, for anybody. Okay, let's face it. It would be hard to manage for anybody. But they keep doubling down on the wrong choices, much like our Republicans. It's going to be bad. So I would suggest to you that you it's the heat, right? Is it the heat? I feel like it's the heat, the heating, staying warm. You may want to invest in some of those hand warmers, those little gel hand warmers, because I feel like you could have a couple of weeks, not all strung together, but say, well, maybe you're going to have a string of time where it's brutally cold. It's kind of wet, that damp cold, and there seems to be a wind, and it's unpleasant, to say the least. So be proactive, right? Just be proactive. And what can you get to make yourself more comfortable this winter, right? If you had some of those, I'm talking about, hunters use them. They're hand warmers that you kind of crankle or something, and then they get hot. They stay hot for hours, for like 8 hours. And might be nice to sleep with something like that, right? So just try to be proactive where you can. They did mention, they really did mention like a solar generator. There's a brand called Jackery that has solar panels. I don't think you get a lot of sun, but you could also, I don't know. You're just going to have to get creative. You're going to have to get creative with your heating. Okay. It's going to push you guys out of a comfort zone. It's not really a comfort zone, but you've been in a zone where people haven't paid the price, where politicians haven't paid the price yet. That's where you are. Now this spring, they're going to pay the price. Is that the Tories? Are they Tories? I don't know. Anyway, whoever it is, they're going to pay the price, because this is a failure. And you guys are going to definitely hold them accountable. I wish I had better news for you, other than at least now you can be proactive and do what you need to do to be comfortable. Okay? Take really good care, dear. Melissa Snow says, when will McConnell leave Congress? And will he be implicated in any Russian machinations? That's a good question, Melissa. McConnell is my nemesis, in the sense that I have not once been able to predict him. I've predicted a lot of things, and I think the guides have had a really strong streak of being correct. But McConnell he's the original energy that taught me that lesson, that McConnell will stand on a golf course holding his golf club up in the air during a lightning storm and just dare God to strike him down. He just does not He is not motivated by the energy around him like most people are. And that's how we make predictions, right? You can see how just exhausted he makes me. So, gosh, he's got power again. He's got power because he's trying to have power over the house. He feels useful, even though he has no power in the Senate, and now less so. But he feels more powerful because he's trying to help this McCarthy speaker thing. So he's feeling useful again. That makes him feel better. Will he be implicated by the Russian issues? I don't think so. I don't. He's very crafty. He's hid his right. Okay, he's hid his trail quite well, but his problem is his wife. Right, his wife was Secretary of Transportation under Trump, and his wife's family is Chinese, and her family owns a shipping company, and she was appointed transportation secretary. I mean, that's a big conflict of interest right there. But I did see her leaving McConnell because she's been telling him to step down, because the longer he's in office, the more risk he has for being implicated in something allegedly that could be criminal or could be very damaging. And she's done. She's like, I want out of this. We need to get out of this. It's almost like the house is on fire and she's like, come on, let's go. And he's like, no, let me do one more thing. Right. And she's just getting fed up with him. Now, when I say she leaves him, I don't mean she's divorcing him. I mean, she's leaving him. She's going to go live somewhere else. She's going to try to get some distance from him because I think he's under investigation. Now, whether that investigation brings anything to light, I'm not 100% sure, because again, he is crafty. He knows how to cover his tracks very well. And if all else fails, he'll throw another person under the bus instead. He'll save himself and literally push somebody else in front of that same bus. So that's what I get, Melissa. I know it's not probably the best news, or maybe not even the most helpful news, but that's what I get. Jamie Johnson says she's in Utah. The Farmer's Almanac said we would have a cold, dry winter. We've actually had the opposite. It's been snowing for 3 days, and we have 4 feet of snow. Also, California is having torrential rains, and I just heard they're having more rain. So please, if you guys live in California, I have been seeing for a while a mudslide that seems to go down over a road, a really big mudslide, a high, like very high, cliffy looking thing with a house that goes down over a road, and it seems like it's near the coast. Just saying. All right. California is having torrential rains. Do you see this weather pattern happening all throughout the winter here in the West? I think it's interesting that the almanac is wrong, because the almanac didn't take into account global warming. So the almanac is going to continue to be kind of off. It's not going to be as relatable or as accurate as it was. Yes, I do. Do you see this weather happening all throughout the winter? I do. I see wet, cold, wet snow, which I think is very damaging because it's very heavy. I see wet snow on roofs. This goes all the way up to Canada. And I see some freaky things happening down in Southern California, like fires in the winter or floods. Weird weather, guys. Weird weather. This is what Mother Gaia is doing to warn us. This is Mother Earth warning us, hey, you guys are screwing up on top side of there, get it together. Just really unusual weather is going to be happening. So please pay attention to all the weather apps. But yes, I do see this continuing, I'm sorry to say. And seismic activity too. So that means earthquake, right? Seismic also. That might be in February, late January, February. Why is my head hurting? I don't know. Okay. That's weird. That's really weird in my temple. Okay, I don't know what that is. Okay, thank you, Jamie. MHB says, what big things are coming down the pike in 2023 that we are not expecting and have not thought to specifically ask about? What are the big surprises for all of us in 2023 or big events that will affect us? Okay, so the first thing they're showing me is just mayhem in the House of Representatives in the United States. People getting convicted, House members having to leave because of that. What is that? Is it the 14th Amendment, the treason, the seditious amendment? I don't know, but just upheaval, just constant upheaval, blaming, shifting power. I would also say to you that last night, in the middle of the night, I got woken up, and this energy has been going on for a while, but for whatever reason, I'm getting energetically that Biden is preparing Kamala Harris to be president. Now, I've told you guys from the beginning of my channel that when I saw Kamala Harris, which I was not familiar with her, and I saw her on TV and I saw Biden saying, this is my VP pick before Biden won, when he first was running, my spirit guide said president. She will be president. Now, there's a lot of ways that can happen, right? She could run. He could say, I'm not going to run, and she could run. He could step down in the middle of one of his terms and she could take over. But now this has been information that I've known for 18 months or whatever, and it hasn't changed, but now it's changed. All of a sudden, there's energy. He is really, it's almost like she's in school. Like he's really prepping her. Now, you might say, people win the presidency and they don't get prepped. I mean, you know what I mean? Obama wasn't prepped. I mean, he was just thrown in there, right? Bill Clinton thrown in there. But Biden, he wants to give her all the information that he has. He's passing a torch. He really is. Now, this energy is pretty strong. So I can't guarantee it's going to happen, because how these things manifest can be different. He very well may have decided to take her under his wing and to really start, just offloading not only his presidential information, but his vice presidential information and his years and years and years in politics information, right? I mean, I just really feel like he's really taking her in as an understudy, which he didn't last year. Okay, that's new. That's different. I honestly can't get a bead on if he's going to step down or if she's going to run this next term. And I'm going to be honest, he'll tell you whatever. I mean, they're not going to give away their plans to the Republicans. So he might say, I'm going to run, I'm going to be president. That doesn't mean anything. That just means that he wants the party to be stable while they're fixing some other things to happen. So that's kind of a big surprise that I thought was interesting. The other big surprise, and then maybe I might need to end this, I'm not sure, is China. You guys, listen, when I tell you guys these things, you have choices. You can be afraid, you can have fear. That's not helpful for anybody. Or you can prepare. I would suggest prepare. China is now experiencing the pandemic for the first time. They've escaped it because they use social distancing and some other things to try to keep their numbers low. Their vaccine doesn't work very well. And now, due to protest, they've decided to just open the doors, literally, just like, let's get herd immunity. Remember those words? And not only that, but they're not even having travel restrictions. They're letting people leave China and come into China. It's insane. We're talking millions of people are going to be sick. Now, that is terrible, and I think we should all pray for them. But it also means, on a practical level, that those factories are not going to be running. So we already have a backlog of parts from the pandemic. And we're going to have an even bigger backlog of parts because these factories in China are not going to be running. So what I would suggest to you is if you need a new phone or you need something that's specifically really made in China, then you might want to go ahead and budget for that now. Because in 6 months, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. Now, how you can prepare for this and how you can know about what's happening is that you can read everything you can get from the business pages about imports and about, they make iPhones, they make Samsungs in China. Start reading the business pages, you guys. The business pages don't lie because money is too important for these people to lie about. Fox News, maybe they lie. Maybe some other news agencies don't always tell the truth, or maybe they slant things a certain way to confuse consumers. Business pages, business magazines, business articles do not. You can get the real scoop. So stay aware, stay informed, because this is going to affect us. This is going to affect us in America. This is going to affect everybody. We may find we can't get tires because tires come from China. All of a sudden, you can't get tires for your car. Now, this is not at all to say that you should go stockpile things from China or, stockpile food or stockpile tires or phones or tablets. Stockpiling is not a good idea. I'm asking you to look at your life. What do you feel like you're going to be replacing your tires this next year? You might want to do it a little bit earlier than you had planned. Okay? And what is this? A big lesson. It's a big lesson about how we need to not be interdependent on China. And with that, I would say, thanks to Biden and thanks to the Democrats, and probably 2 Republicans have voted for it, the bill that they did this year really funded batteries, lithium-ion car batteries, to be made here in the United States. We have like 4 or 5 super huge plants, football field times 3 size plants being built in the United States right now. That's a lot of jobs. That's a lot of pretty decent paying jobs. And it also means that we're going to be able to get our own batteries. We're not going to have to get them from other countries. Again, Biden has been on this. He's really trying to outsource this. And you're going to start seeing companies like Apple and Samsung and tire companies and whoever else that we primarily get this stuff from China, which is just about everything. You're going to start seeing them looking to outsource to other countries. And it's really going to be interesting to see what companies are proactive in doing this. Because the other thing you need to consider is if you've got stock in a company that makes their product in China, you need to be watching them very closely to make sure that they're proactively dealing with this. Because if they're not going to proactively deal with this, they're going to have a really big stock drop when they can't get that product and they can't fulfill those orders. So again, all of this information is for you to be proactive with, not to worry, not to be upset or fearful. None of those things are helpful. Take this information and put it into action. Help yourself out with this information, okay? And with that, I'm going to end this part 1 and I'm going to do a part 2, okay? I really hope this was helpful for you. Please leave your comments down below. If you have comments about some of these questions or you would have a question or something like that, I'll try to answer it. And I wish you all the best. This is the beginning of 2023. We are standing at the precipice of a brand new year. Our choices are going to shape our experience in 2023. End of story, period. Those people do not control you. People say, well, I live with this person and I can't do anything. I don't have any money and I can't do anything. I'm too old and I can't do anything. My health is bad and I can't do anything. You can. You absolutely can. You can start very small steps, changing your vibration. Very small steps. Meditate for 5 minutes a day. You can meditate doing needlepoint. You can meditate listening to your breath. You can meditate listening to a guided meditation. You can meditate during arts and crafts. You can meditate staring out your window at the clouds going by. You can meditate staring at a candle flame recorded on YouTube on your computer or your phone. Now, you can also put good food in your vibration, not junk food. Listen to inspiring people. Go out on YouTube and find people that inspire you, that lift you up. Find fun, joyful energy, videos, shows, and start pumping that into your vibration. Put up some boundaries. Put up some boundaries. Go on YouTube. How do I put up boundaries? Put up boundaries. You're living with somebody, or you have somebody in your life that's draining you, that's sucking literally the life force out of you. You don't have to allow that. That's not your soul path. You weren't born to be a doormat. You weren't born for someone to suck all your energy dry. That's no one's soul path. Our soul path is to glow our light, is to be light, to be love, to feel love, to experience joy, to send out vibrational joy. Maybe not all the time. Life is hard. Sometimes you're down, sometimes you're up. But we don't want to spend all our time down. We want to have those ups, and we want to try to stay as high as we can for a while, emotionally and vibrationally. And then, you know what? If we have to go down, that's okay. That's okay. That's life. Throw up those boundaries, people. Take good care of yourself. You're not doing them any favors by letting people take advantage of you. You're not helping anything. You're not helping them. You're not helping you. So throw up some boundaries, okay? And when you do that, you're raising your vibration. And when you raise your vibration, amazing things happen. For instance, the cranky people, the energy vampires, they leave. They don't want to be around a happy, joyful person. So they start going somewhere else. That problem is solved. You know what else happens? Money comes in, abundance comes in, your health gets better. Beautiful people with matching vibrations of joy and happiness show up, and your whole life changes. Over what? Doing a meditation for 5 minutes a day? Yep. Over bringing in inspirational mentors, inspirational videos. Yep. That's how you do it, folks. That's how you do it. And that's also how you get through this really kind of crappy, vibrationally challenging year that we have ahead of us. We can do it in the 5D and bliss out, or we can do it in the 3D and, be chewing our fingernails off and be worried and upset. And, sometimes we might be doing both. Sometimes you might pop up to the 5D and then go back down into 3D. That's human too. That's okay. But you do have resources that are free, that are available to you to change your life. Okay? All the best to you. All the best. Thank you so much for supporting me. Much love to you all. Take good care. We'll see you again for part 2.